This is 7th grade math, and it is for the exam on 5/26/15. The exam number is 1415-07R03. This is a review exam, so all these concepts are concepts that were covered earlier in the year. For number 1, it says if m equals 6, then 7m minus 5 equals blank minus blank. So when we have a variable, we can replace that variable with parentheses. So 7m minus 5 becomes 7 parentheses minus 5. The 7, the minus, and the 5 all come down. And then we take 6, which is the same as m, and write it in there. So 6 times 7, a number touching a number in parentheses, means it's multiplication. So 6 times 7 is 42. So our first space will have a 42, and the second space will be 5. So 42 minus 5. For number 2, it says circle the negative numbers in the following list. And they give the following numbers. And of course, the ones that are negative are negative 17 and negative 99. Any number like 18 that does not have a sign is automatically positive. So 18, 82, and 34 are all positive numbers. For number 3, it says the graphs of two opposite numbers are the same distance. So the first blank will be the same distance. So that's your first line from the origin being 0 on a number line, but on opposite sides. So the second one is going to be opposite. So the graphs of two opposite numbers are the same distance from the origin, but on opposite sides of it. So once again, the origin is 0. If you take an example of 4, and the opposite number from 4 is negative 4, they are both 4 places from 0, so they're the same distance, 4 places and 4 places, but they're in opposite directions. For number 4, we have, for this section 4 through 7, we have addition of integers. There are a couple ways that we can do these. There are some rules that we use for integer addition, and that is if you have the same sign, then you find the sum. So you're going to add, and then you use the same sign. So if you have two addition, an addition plus another positive plus positive is going to equal positive, and negative number plus a negative number will equal a negative number. So, and you simply add them. Okay? If you have different signs, then you find the difference. So that means you're going to subtract and then use the sign of the larger absolute value. So use the sign of the number that is farther away from 0. So for instance, if you have -4 and a positive 17, 17 would be farther away from 0, so you would use the positive. If you had -21 and +4, +4 is actually a larger number, but 21 has a greater absolute value, meaning it's 21 spaces from 0. So this one, the answer would be a negative. There's also a way to find these using a number line, and we'll go through that as we do each problem. Our first one that we have is number 4. Number 4 is a special one because it is a number and its opposite. And first of all, a number and its opposite always equal 0. So once again, we have different signs, so we can find the difference, so we can subtract them. And since we have 0, 0 has no positive or negative sign. We can also use a number line, starting with the origin 0. First of all, we go positive 22, so we go to the right 22 places. And then from there, we go negative 22, so we go to the left 22 places. So this is 22 to the right. This is 22 the opposite direction. So therefore, it takes us back to 0, the origin. Okay. For number 5, we have -8 plus 14. So if we use our rules, we have different signs. Find the difference, so we're going to subtract. Use the sign of the larger absolute value. 14 is farther from 0, so therefore this would be a +6. And we can write that with a plus sign or just as 6. We can also use a number line. Start at 0. First we do -8. Negative numbers go backwards, so we go backwards 8 places, and then we're going to then go positive 14, so we're going to go right 14 places. So we've gone backwards 8, now we go right 14. Since we're going 14 places right, we pass the 0, so we're now on the positive side of the number line. You can also look at these almost like two teams when you're using integer addition. Once again, this works with addition, not subtraction. If you're working with addition, you can say the positives have more, so they win, and they're going to win by 6. Okay. So our next one, number 6, is 34 plus 45, and 45 is negative. So therefore, different signs, we find the difference. Always put the larger number on top when subtracting, even though it doesn't come first in the problem. And we're going to end up with 5 minus 4, which is 1, 4 minus 3, which is 1. And use the sign of the larger absolute value. 45 is farther from 0, so this would be a -11. Okay. To show this on a number line, we would once again always start at the origin. We have 34. 34 is positive, so it goes to the right. So we would go past 10, 20, and 30 to 34. And then from there we would go backwards 45. 45 is going to take us back past the 0, and we're going to end up at -11. So for 6, our answer is going to be -11. For number 7, our problem is -7 plus -8. So here we have same sign, find the sum. So we're going to add these two and get 15. Use the same sign, so it is going to be -15. On a number line, we would start with 0 our origin, and -7 goes backwards 7, and then -8 goes backwards 8. So we started at 0, then we were to here. Now we're going to go ahead and go backwards 8 more, and now we're backwards a total of 15. Okay? So basically, the negatives have 7 and 8, so they are ahead by 15. Okay? Then, for number 8, it says fill in the blank with one number only. For 8a, they have -9 times 4 equals negative, then in parentheses, blank times blank. So when you're multiplying, one negative gives you automatically a negative answer. So therefore, we have one negative, so we multiply 9 times 4 like we normally would, and our answer would have a -36. So here, they don't want us to actually go through and get the solution to the problem. So we just need to put our numbers in here. Since we only have one negative number over here, one negative, we're only going to have one negative there. So the answer is simply going to be negative, and in parentheses, 9 times 4. Because both of these, this would equal -9 times 4, which means 4 negative 9s. So -9, -9, -9, and -9. So that would take you back to -36. This right here, we would do in the parentheses, and we would get 36, and the one negative would make it negative. So once again, we do not need to actually do our solution down here, but our answer is simply right here. For 8b, we have 12 and -14 equals -12 times blank. So once again, when we have a number touching another number through parentheses, that means we're multiplying. So that means this is going to be 12 times a -14, so 12 -14s. And here, we're going to have 12, and so our other number here is going to be 14, and it's going to end up being a +14. So we have one negative on this side of the equation, so we're going to have one negative on that side of the equation. So our answer is -12 times a +14. So once again, 12 times 14, and one negative means we're going to have a negative answer. Now we go on to C. C says -6, and once again, parentheses mean multiplication, times 15. So one negative tells us we're going to have a negative answer. We're going to actually go through and do our multiplication for this one. So we're going to do 15 times 6. So 5 times 6 is 30, carry a 3. 6 times 1 is 6, 7, 8, 9. So that gives us 90. And since we have one negative, we're going to have one negative in our answer. Our answer would be -90. So we multiply our two numbers, and then one negative gives us a negative answer. Now, number 9 is dealing with the property of opposites in problems for all real numbers a and b. A times -b, so once again, when they touch the parentheses, it's multiplication. That means that -a times b, so once again, a times b, one negative. A times b, one negative. And that is going to equal a times b, and we can put that in parentheses. We can also put that as just ab. When they touch, it means multiplication. And we need to have one negative. So we would have -ab. So once again, each of these will have one negative. Okay. For the second part, it says negative A times negative B equals. So this time we have two negatives. So negative A times negative B, when we get two negatives, that equals a positive. So two negatives equal a positive. So therefore, negative A times negative B equals AB or AB. So sometimes people think of two negatives coming together and turning this one this way and making a plus sign. So two negatives make a positive. Just like in English, a double negative makes it into a positive. So, for this last part, once again, for 9, you're going to remember that if you have one negative, you're going to, so negative 3 times 5 would end up being, 3 times 5 is 15, one negative, negative 15. Negative 3 times negative 5, once again, we would still do our multiplication and get 15, but the two negatives, in a sense, cancel each other out to give us a positive 15. So 3 times negative 5, once again, multiply and get 15, one negative makes it negative. Then the last problem we have, number 10, has 0 divided by negative 1/19. And for this one, this is one of the rules that we have. If you start with 0, it doesn't make a difference how many places you divide it into, you're going to end up with 0. So if you have $0 and you have 12 people, they each get $0 each. $0 divided by negative 4 would be $0. So if you start with 0, you'll always end up with 0. Now, when you have, for instance, 12 divided by 0, that's considered to be undefined. It has no answer. Because if you have $12, you can't put them into 0 groups. They have to be in at least one group. But if you're starting with 0, it does not make a difference what you're dividing by. You're going to end up with 0 as an answer. If you have any questions, please email me at rclark@iaf-sabis.net. Thank you.